Hi, Tom Walls Carbide Processors. Want to talk about machine coolant safety or grinding coolant or coolant or whatever. If you're machining or if you're grinding saw blades or other tools, the swarf, the grinding particles, end up in the coolant where, call it dissolve. There's other more technically correct terms. But anyway, your coolant gets contaminated. Also, your coolant can grow bacteria. If you get oils or greases or hydraulic cylinders weep, that stuff all ends up in the coolant and it floats on top. And it does a couple things. The swarf from the bottom is a great habitat for bacteria. They eat a lot of the oils and greases and they're anaerobic. They don't like oxygen. So the layer of oil and greases on top keeps the oxygen out of the coolant. So you get bacteria. I got a call last week from a guy who's got a real problem with dermatitis and contact dermatitis from the machine coolant at work because it's so dirty. He works in a shop where I think they have 6 machines on a sump, a common sump, and then they have his which has no coolant treatment at all. It's not on the network. And he's worried because he can't go swimming at the Y on the way to work in the morning because of his skin condition. Couple of things. Cobalt, if you're running tungsten carbide, the cobalt will leach into the coolant. We have these little strips that you can use for a coolant test. There's a little pad at the bottom. You dip it in the coolant, you pull it out, and you see what color it is. There's a color chart on the side of the tube, but you do that, and it can tell you what your cobalt concentration is. Pretty much, if you can see any blue, and actually at the top it looks more like a really light green, you ought to be doing something about your coolant. We also sell these. These are old, they've turned color, but you open these up, and there's I was taught called agar. Anyway, there's on each side the brown stuff with the ripples in it hosts bacteria or fungus. You dip it in, you pull it out without touching it, you put it back in the cylinder, let it sit on a shelf out of the sun for 2-3 days. And then you'll see little colonies grow. So you count the number of colonies, and that tells you what your bacteria is like in your coolant. We sell filter units. We make and sell filter units specifically for grinding coolant. Some guys, there's a company called, oh God, you sent me a catalog too. There's some other company, Transor, Transor. Our units go up to maybe $2,500 for about the biggest one we can build. They probably start somewhere around half that. Our units do a nice job. They keep the bacteria knocked down. They keep the crap out of it. They'll extend coolant life from a month to last results we saw from a customer were about 2.5 years, and the coolant was still fine. This is as part of a whole coolant management program where you keep the concentrations right. But anyway, the Transor people, I think they start around 15,000. I haven't checked, but their coolant is gin clear, and really is. You got to do something about it because as bad as it can be on your skin, it's even worse when you breathe it. If you have any doubts at all about your coolant, you probably ought to buy some of the strips, and you probably ought to buy a pack of these bacteria test units. Bug check. If you can't afford to buy them, let us know, and we can send you a couple of these anyway. Probably get you some of these too, but it really is a serious problem. An untreated sump is just horrible. If you're not going to do anything else, I've got about a dozen little fish tank aerators. I don't know, it was a real deal. I thought maybe we'd want to sell them, and I don't think we do because they're really a cheap unit, but I'll send you one free. So that is it. Take care of yourself. Thank you. Bye.